You're listening to the Hult Center podcast, and today I am speaking with Isabeau Waia'u Walker. She's going to be at our 10 for 10 show Wednesday, March 12th. Every ticket is just $10. Hi, and thanks for joining me.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Yeah, we're super stoked that you're coming to the Hult Center, and the new album's great. So
Thank you.
let's just get into this.
Yes.
Heavyweight came out last October.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a really dreamy vibe to it. What can you tell me about the production, inspirations, aspirations, and how does it differ from your first album?
Ooh, a lot. I'm a different person. Well, maybe not a lot. I feel like someone else would listen to it and be like, man, pretty similar. But production, my dear friend and bandmate Ryan Oxford has a studio up here in Portland, off Alberta, called the Center for Color, Light, and something. I'm messing this sound, color, and light therapy. I probably mixed those up. But he's like the first person in Portland that when I started working in the studio with him a few, like the, at the beginning of the EP, I think the foundation of our friendship, and then just getting to watch how he interacted in another band or like produced another band that I'm in, the way he engaged artists, I just felt at ease, which was a big hiccup for me. I had kind of convinced myself at that point that the studio setting and in my mind, like the refinement of like a studio was maybe outside of what I was able to do, or maybe just that I was wanting to do.
Yeah, it has a weird vibe. Like you have a sound, and then it's sometimes hard to reproduce that in that room.
Yes, yes. And looking back, a lot of it beyond the external like environment and the spaces I was in that maybe didn't work, or people that I worked with that it just wasn't a right fit. As much as it was also, I can honestly say some of those places and people were not a right fit. I was also significantly younger, and I was feeling a way about making executive choices about what I wanted in songs. I think I was toggling between like I always wanted to be a learner, and if someone heard something or felt something and wanted to influence the sound of something, if they were people that I trusted and I was stoked on their artistry, it was hard to say no to it.
Hmm.
But then it became really challenging to figure out what I even meant to sound like, because I knew what I meant to say, but like how that something is said is really impacted by the arrangement, the music, the production. And when it got to making those choices, I caught myself just deferring to everyone, hoping that I would get the best possible sound because I would have all of my most trusted people
Sure.
advising me. But then I realized earlier on, I'm like, I don't think I know what I mean to sound like and say fully, and I feel a little clunky because I'm being witnessed trying to figure those things out, and I wasn't super confident in standing by my decisions. So some of this, I think, is both Ryan was the right person, his studio is the right space, our friendship bolstered it, but I also started growing a little bit of a backbone and some clarity about, oh, I think I'm gonna have to find a way to communicate to someone else what I'm thinking and feeling about
Hmm.
these songs and these arrangements. And the people pleaser in me was very terrified at knowing that that was going to have to be on me. I'm like, do I actually have to say what I want? And they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
for it to be you, yeah. Or it's
Yeah.
going to
It's,
keep sounding
and
like everyone
sometimes
else.
it's uncomfortable. It could be
Oh,
like saying no to some, like, yeah, I
saying
get
no
you.
to something that you're like, this is objectively cool. I just don't think it's the right fit.
Yeah.
Or even suggesting something that I had felt a stirring about, or when I had been working with a song, but not feeling confident that the language I had to communicate what I wanted sounded studio professional enough.
Hmm.
Because how I came to doing music like this, while I don't think it's novel, I think it's very common. It's not. I didn't come in with a fluency in those spaces. So learning how to just get to stay tender, but then be like, this is what I want. And I have a feeling I'm not saying it the easiest way,
Sure.
but just trusting that someone will like listen to me, be like, can it be like boop 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 boop? Like using just my goofiness, not
Yeah.
translating. It's like a lack of intelligence about my
Yeah.
art.
Communicating in jazz scat. I understand.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and big. Does that,
Yeah.
do you feel that? And Ryan's right face, like, ooh,
Yeah.
I think so. Is it like
Yeah.
this? I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
experiment with me. So I'm very grateful for him.
I get that. And now Body came out in 2022.
Hmm.
So was that COVID work?
That
And
was COVID work. Whoa,
yeah, I
yeah.
know. So like as far as what like you were feeling when you made these albums,
Hmm.
what's the new one about like for you?
I think that even in the cover art, and this was intentional. This wasn't like a happenstance. It is. These are like markers and timestamps of what was unfolding
Hmm.
in my internal world, in my family, my community, things beyond me. And
Sure.
though some of it is has some like biographical tidbits, I think that nothing was meant to be just for me. So I try to steer clear of locking something where I'm like, this is only about this, this, and this. But
Hmm.
heavyweight, like the artwork for it, I'm sitting in the corner of a boxing ring. I have some really important people around me who are my coaches, and between like the lighting and the coloring, and then my face is busted up,
Hmm.
and even just my posture, like it was important for me that the way I'm sitting and hunched over, like it's not attractive, at least to me. I'm like that's not conventionally attractive in what it looks like. And when I'm hunched over, you can see my opu, my stomach, just kind of like hanging over my shorts. And there was a moment when I was first getting those back where I'm like, ugh. Like there is still a thread of me that dumb narrative is like, could we edit that out? I'm like, yeah, maybe I would feel like a stranger getting this and seeing this might get to perceive me the way I want them to say it. But I'm like, but
Yeah.
that is all part of like what these songs over time have come out of, and it's just still in it,
Hmm.
st- still in the fight, gladly there, like I'm making a choice to be there, but
Yeah.
not being able to hide, like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty busted up,
Yep.
and a little deformed. But like the I think then the description was like but still kind of got a smirk.
Yeah.
Like I trust that this fight will continue. Someone's gonna win. I'll be in for the next fight. I want to be here. But compared to Body, the artwork was the album art. Like there's brighter colors. I'm wearing a mu'u mu'u, but wearing it in a more modern way. I've got heels, lots of frill, and that was a really like coming into my like actually being in my body for the first time in a long time,
Okay.
where I could um, identify what I was wanting and sensing in all areas where it was like a homecoming. And then this one was like that kind of healing doesn't mean that it's not going to hurt still. I think
Sure.
Body, there was a part where like, yeah, I feel me for the first time in a long time in my body, in my culture, in my community. And then the next one's like, that wasn't like that point still had, there's still dips.
Of
Like
course.
it wasn't an arrival. It wasn't a final arrival, which is part of me was like, oh, I was really hoping that I could just like coast at that point. But yeah, heavyweight is not a surrender, but it is a like a public admitting of like, yeah, this is painful.
Yeah. I mean, I think art is painful,
Hmm.
but I think artists are resilient, and that's what
Hmm.
they've done for all time, right? I
Hmm.
mean, that's just how it goes. And especially in our culture and society, I feel like we're the secret fighters
Hmm.
kind of. So it's cool to put that right in front of people.
And not wanting people to feel lonely.
Yeah.
in their, like, not speaking too specifically in whatever art that it excludes people, but trying to w walk a line between, I guess, it's just to be, I write personally in hopes that it will be sort of universal so
Yeah.
that someone could not just be like, oh, I get that, but not maybe have some sort of, that it would be a relief of, oh, I'm not alone in seeing that, thinking about it that way, or
Hmm.
feeling this. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. You know what I really like too is that the album is long, and I gotta say, way way to go, because 56 minutes. It's a good chunk of time, and
It is
so
long.
I give you,
Thank you for being,
yeah,
for, I can't tell, I don't, was
no,
that
no,
good?
no,
Oh, okay, it's
yeah,
genuine. Okay, I
yeah,
was like,
major props to be like, I have these songs and they are the album, and it's gonna be this long, and that's that. So
it is tough along the way when people are like, that's not a, like, what's marketable? I feel like
sure,
that's always going to be this uncomfortable dance for me between, like, I really do want to do this. And to do this, there are certain tracks that I know I'm going to have to lock in,
totally,
strategies, because
totally,
the goal is to, like, to have a chance to share this and do this with as many people as possible.
yeah,
With that being said, I'm super stubborn and unwilling to look back 5, 10 years from now and be like, oh, I took out chunks of what made me believe that I still wanted to do this.
yeah,
So some of that is even just down to things like song length, where some songs I had good counsel where, like, we need to find a way to lock this in.
yeah,
And I'd be like, sweet, that makes sense. I I defer. And then other ones where they're like, I don't know about this. I don't know if this should be a single because it's a long one and this, that. I'm like, I know, but I believe this, and
yeah.
I can't push anything else forward if I don't believe
I
myself.
I
So I'm
get
like,
that. No,
I don't know.
no, I think it's I think it's great. Um, and it's got, so I would say that their bodies and heavyweights are different
Hmm.
for sonically too.
Yes,
Like
yes.
this one has a much more like Mazzy Star, like slow dive,
Yeah,
like vibe going on.
yeah.
Um,
And the whole makeup of it too, like thinking about it, I guess I just didn't feel like it was that different because I realized that I'm like the same person and same body that's mulling over all these things, but
yeah.
sonically, totally. Like Ryan and I did body mostly on our own and then
Okay.
brought people in. So a lot of things that we were playing like live or sampling and did like play, we had a lot of fun. And
Hmm.
then once we noticed what we needed, where all the gaps were, that's when we brought in other musicians. And this one, Heavyweight, we did with the band, with my band. And a lot of that too is growing into it because I haven't had like a, when we did Body, I had people I played with in a band, but we weren't collaborating that way yet.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it was really cool. I was intimidated at first because I'm like, oh, I really need to have, like, I really need to know what are deal breakers for me so that when these guys come into the studio, hopefully they're gonna feel freed up to, like, I don't know, play and
Yeah.
experiment. And I want them to know that when I say let's play, that I mean it.
Yeah.
And that when I say, oh, I this is something that, like, it matters for me to be like this, that they would know I mean that too. But this, yeah, this, the way we record is totally different. Ryan and I for Body, and then for Heavyweight, it was Ryan, Ayal, Alexander, and Alex Croson, and
Yeah.
we did it together.
Yeah. So it's
Hmm.
less. It wasn't like you. I feel body is like almost like session players,
Hmm.
and this was,
Yes,
yeah,
this was the
this is not.
band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. Yeah. I really like. Am I laughing yet? And all my
Hmm.
friends think I'm okay. I think
Hmm.
those are my favorites. Do you have a favorite that when you heard it, like on the playback, you were just like, oh, like that's the one.
I think that right now, in my
Sure.
little ADHD mind, because watch 10 minutes from now, I'm like, hey, guess what? I have a
Yeah.
different opinion now. Um, Me, You, I think for that one, there's just like a, on the album, but also getting to play it live with the band since the release, it's kind of, I think some would say I don't know if anyone would say it's like my fear is that it would look like it didn't belong on there, and that it would be because of that ignored or looked over. But to me, it all, of course, to me it all makes sense. But I just I just like that all of us get to scream a little,
Okay.
whether it's with our voices or with our instruments. So like I'm thinking of us doing that live and in the studio, and looking around and watching Alex Croson on the bass, who's typically pretty like quiet, like funny, but like he just waits for his moment, and he's just headbanging. And you
Nice.
have A on the keys and the synth, and he's just, it sounds like alien landings like going on everywhere. And Alexander on the drums, there's this part like when he comes in where it's a, like a double hit, and everyone looks like they're being a kid. And Ryan's turning around to the amp and trying to get all distorted. And I
Yeah.
always tell him it's like 12-year-old Ryan in his room who's just like, watch this. I can make this crazy loud sound. And yeah, it feels, while it being a very serious song, feels so cathartic and playful
Yeah.
that at the end of it, every time I feel like we go from like this really serious tone to looking around at each other like, like that was good.
Yeah.
Like I felt good to get that out.
That's fun.
But yeah, me, you right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so, opposite of recording in a studio, what makes, a live performance and your live performance so special?
Um, I would hope the conversation, and because at the end of the day, like I mean, I know I'll be writing songs, create like making music until I can't. I'll do it at home with my family. I'll do it alone. I'll do it with friends. I'll do it with a band. I'll do it whether I have a stage digitally or in person. But I think that the way I'm trying to do it, the capacity in making records and then playing live shows, I want it to be communal. Like I'll keep doing it because it does nurture and give me pleasure.
Sure.
But there is the same way like I really value meaningful conversation with another person. At some point, like the talking in my head does get a little redundant,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm like, I'd love to have this with someone. And I have had enough people, not even just musicians, but anyone, artists or not, where when they come to you in conversation, whether it's a show and it's the songs themselves, or it's the banter in between, or it's the encounters, just as people are coming in, they don't even know you're playing and you're just talking with them. Um, I've had encounters like that with other people where being seen, heard, hearing yourself in things or seeing yourself in things, I think kind of back to that, it's really hard to feel that scary kind of alone,
Mm-hmm.
where you start to wonder why you're even here. So it's definitely like music is a lifeline, like, and
Yeah.
not just that, but like I I want to have a conversation. I want to see how people are, and I want to practice what it's like doing that myself. And some of it's not so straightforward. Not every song is like, I'm
Sure.
feeling sad today. What do you think? Like, I don't want necessarily cheesy stuff like that, but I think
That
art,
was that was a new song. You just
this
heard it
song,
here.
everyone, off the upcoming
Debut.
EP,
I'm feeling
just
sad
called
today.
I'm feeling sad today. How about you? No, I think that, yeah, the conversation.
Yeah.
I think that apart from it, I think that's why, like, playing some shows where the bar is really loud, or people show up and you're like so stoked, but maybe they're just not conditioned to knowing what those spaces feel best like when there's like a listening audience, or
Sure.
how to engage it in a way that's active but not crushing it. Like, you play enough of those and you're grateful for the ability to get to like try out a new song in front of strangers, build some courage, maybe make a little money, but they don't feel good.
No. Yeah.
You leave and you're like, I not only did I didn't feel listened to, but I'm like, I don't know who was there. If
Yeah.
people spent money and they gave time,
You
like,
play
what?
for the other bands that you're on the list with.
Absolutely. Or the
Yeah.
bartender.
Or the bartender.
I'm like, how are you doing? You good? Cool. You're the only one kind of paying attention. But
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's yeah. I get it. Um, so this doesn't have to be super in depth, but I'd love a like a little origin story. Like, what was the catalyst for you to, be who you are now?
Um, Back home in Hawaii, there is, and I'm sure this exists in so many families and cultures, but music isn't is not extraordinary, but it's very ordinary. Like art, the poetry, music. Um, I mean, what came to mind, but it doesn't sound like it's in line with it. Tending to the land, dance, those things are extraordinary in that it takes time and effort to develop a skill. So that's not overlooked, but it does feel really ordinary in that it happens in just very normal, casual settings.
Yeah, I think that, like, you just listed off like the most human things that there are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
everyone sings and not like
Yeah.
I'm not saying everyone has to sing or that I'm gonna like when I teach students I'm like, do you like to sing? They're like, no, I don't like to. I'm not gonna badger them like, no, you're an artist, you've lost it. I'm like, people get to make choices. Maybe it doesn't bring them that
Sure.
pleasure, but I do think like I look at the littles in my family, the small nephews and nieces, and the way they exist even in the family dynamic back home or in the community culture, it feels so much more accessible and normal to be like, I feel the way. I'll sing about it. I'll hum about it. My nieces draw every day for hours and hours, and that doesn't necessarily mean they want to be like a professional artist when they get up. But
No. Yeah.
there's always this responsiveness. So with all the beauty and all the grief and trauma of the growing up in Hawaii and under not just like my family, but just poverty
Hmm.
and familial and community addictions. Like music was very much like it was a refuge, but it was as common as prayer, food, drink. And so it was still special, still sacred, but it just kind of flowed in between those things. And I
Yeah.
think the first time I left Maui and I came up to Oregon, and I had met classmates. So I was going to school studying history and going to education. And I remember people like, oh, you play music. Are you a music major? I'm like, you can be a music major? Like, and I felt so naive and kind of dumb and it hid a lot of my questions because I'm like, I don't want them to think I'm like some disconnected island girl. I'm like, I know stuff. I promise. But it was less about like the information and more like, oh, people are in a place in their mindset and their resources where I'm like, you could study this? And they're like, yeah, I'm going to school for graphic design. I'm going to school for musical, like jazz performance or whatever, and they specialize in the guitar. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
incredible. And it maybe felt both some jealousy, but also I didn't get it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, they'd be like, where did you learn how to play the guitar? I'm like, the living room.
Yeah.
Yeah, very ordinary. I used to not consider that my training, but now it feels really redemptive to be like, I know what I don't know, but I don't want to diminish the communal family training and the intentionality of my mom and my dad. Just we had very little, and they kept a guitar out. And the older I got, I was like, oh my gosh, that guitar that my dad he got it from his uncle. That's usually a guitar you should put on the wall, but he was like, we're gonna play it, and he did, and it's really busted up, but it's beautiful. Oh, it sounds so
Yeah.
good.
A guitar on the wall
Sounds
doesn't sound good.
no, and I'm so grateful because I didn't get that as a kid. I'd be like, I just want to play it. It's a guitar, and got older. I'm like, Dad, that old parlor Martin from Uncle probably it would have made sense had you mounted it and been like, this is special. But he
Yeah.
was like, this is special, and
Yeah.
play it. Make up your own notes and
Yeah.
chords.
Which is more special than a physical item. So
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So let's just some fun things like favorite record of all time, like cover to cover.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna say this, and this is funny because this is a single. So
Okay.
cover to cover.
One track.
When you said it, I envisioned it. I envisioned the CD that my older sister had. Um, wait, I want to make sure that I want to say this. I'm letting my filter. Um, I think of Toni Braxton's "Unbreak My Heart" because my older sister got that single.
It was a huge song.
It's a huge song, and she
Huge
would
song.
play over and over on this huge boombox we got from Walmart.
Hmm.
And she would just sit there, and I, being her younger sister, was like, "This song is painfully gorgeous." And it would just, again, it was a single, so it'd be like the
Yeah.
radio edit, and then
Oh
in
yeah, then
Spanish.
a 15-second longer opening.
Yes. Like
Yeah.
I never knew. I was like, "Oh, this can't be a single because there's like 3 songs on it." Like it's the same song, but it's all
Yeah.
just a different take. So that one probably was very shaped me a lot, even just in like that. Oh, I like how I feel when people lament in songs.
Yeah.
And
No shame
then
in this.
okay, thank you. And then Boys to Men. I had to like. I think it's just their. Oh, what is? I think it was self-titled Boys to Men album. Their first one, like in 1994. I had to look for the album
Yeah.
cover. It makes me laugh because like I would just I would listen to it on repeat with my older sister, and I don't know if that's the one that has. Wait, does it? I'll Make Love to You.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, I would be shouting this song, and then I came to realize like what it was, and then I had this season where I was super shy about it, where my older sister would be like, "Don't be so." I'm like, I don't, I don't know if I believe in like all these weird growth, mental, emotional growth spurts happening while listening to this, and like getting to come full circle and seeing TikToks where people are like, remember when we used to like scream this song in the back or sing this
Oh
really
yeah.
loudly, and you had no idea the stuff I was declaring to the world. On Maui, there were places where you would go cruising, so the high schoolers in their cars, if they had cars,
Yep.
or if they had cool cars, lowriders, whatever the case, would go and you would like areas of town where you'd cruise through like on a Friday night, a Saturday night, show off your car, see people, get food, drinks. And when I was in, I must have been like in third grade. Wow, that's so young. And my older sister was starting middle school, and neither of us could drive. And I just think about how my dad, somehow we convinced him, which that means my older sister convinced him, to take us cruising. Even the fact that we're like, Dad, we want to go cruising. I think about a third grader saying that, I'd be like, what? My dad isn't a pretty, I want to say he's a serious man, but he's not. Like he's got like this humor and this, but he's a serious dad where he's not
Hmm.
one to be like I want to get my nose pierced, and he was like, I'm going with you. And when the guy cracked a joke about I'm gonna pierce something else, he was like he's not gonna. But the fact that he took us, I need to call him after this and be like, thank you, Dad. Like I feel like
Yeah.
that was
Well,
a huge compromise on his part. I know he in his brain he was like, hell, I don't want my daughters cruising in Kahului. No, but he took us.
but he
What is
did.
that?
And not so serious that he mounted the guitar on the wall.
He
You know,
exactly.
so it's like,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
it's that balance, knowing when to be flexible
Yes.
is a good parental move. And so, where do you prefer listeners find your music? I know there's a lot of options, and
Mm-hmm.
they're not all great.
I know. I guess not that I don't believe that the collective effort isn't. I think that's how we'll change things with music. I understand too that I want people just to hear it. So if you stream it on Spotify, it's there. It's on all the streaming. I have stuff on Bandcamp, so if that's where people exist or they're comfortable and they know it,
Yep.
Bandcamp is a big one. I know that Bandcamp Friday too. Like I have both the digital and like physical stuff. So not that I have the vinyl and merch related to it.
And we'll put that link below as well.
Sweet.
Well, Isabeau, you're going to be here Wednesday, March 12th.
Yes.
We're super excited. All tickets are $10. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Every time